show 5 exercises to heal diastasis recti. But before I jump into it, what is diastasis recti? DR. DR is very common and 1 in 2 women may experience it during pregnancy or postpartum. So what is it and how can we heal it? What are the exercises to avoid in order to not make it worse during postpartum recovery? DR is a midline separation at the linea alba of recti muscles of your abdominal wall. It's basically a palpable midline gap of more than 2.5 centimeter or more than 2 fingers, or any visible bulging on exertion is considered as diastasis. It happens quite often as a result of expanding belly during pregnancy. So how to assess DR? First thing first, how do you know if you have DR? It's actually pretty easy to assess it at home on your own or with a friend. But remember that you can always ask your doctor to assess it for you during your postpartum checkup. So let's get started.
Lie on your back with your knees bent, feet flat. With your abdominal wall relaxed, gently press your fingers into your abs at the level of umbilicus or navel. Lift your head off the mat, coming into a crunch, making sure the rib cage comes closer to the pelvis. Note the number of finger separation between the rectus half. That is your real assessment. You can repeat this 3 inches above or below the umbilicus to really check what exactly is the gap between your diastasis recti. Here, since I have never been pregnant, I don't really have any gap. But people who have DR gap, you will notice the finger separation between your rectus half. And that was it. Pretty easy, right?
I also wanted to talk about exercise principles for correcting DR. DR usually should heal within 6 weeks to 3 months. But follow these principles when you try to exercise while having a DR. Focus on stabilization exercises that maintain your rib cage pelvic alignment without excessive intra-abdominal pressure. Avoid any crunches, sit-ups, back bends, oblique twists, and straight leg lifts. And if you have severe abdominal split, please consult a healthcare professional for treatment suggestions. So today I'm going to show 5 exercises you should definitely do to heal your diastasis recti. First, transverse abdominal breathing. TVA breathing. So TVA is the deepest muscle in your core. And if you know, the core and the pelvic floor are the most affected muscle during and after pregnancy. Your TVA and pelvic floor muscles stretch and weakens during pregnancy in order to carry out a baby. So it's very important to engage and activate those deep core muscles during and after pregnancy. It takes time and practice as it can feel unfamiliar, but making the mind-muscle connection is the first step. You have to actively focus on these muscles and eventually it will become a habit. So start with your breath. When you try this exercise, do them with connected breathing. Yes, connected breathing. I know it's very difficult while you're doing exercise. You tend to forget it, but come back to your focus, connected breathing. Let's get started.
Lie on your back with knees bent, feet flat. Start inhaling. Fill your belly with air. As you can see here, exhale and feel your core and tighten your transverse abdominal and wrap around your midsection. Don't just suck in your stomach. Really feel those muscles engaged. After engaging your core, lift your pelvic floor up. This will be same movement as stopping the flow of urination. Then slowly relax your muscle as you begin to inhale again. Take your time and practice. You can practice this breathing technique anywhere, while watching TV, breastfeeding, in the car, doing dishes, cooking dinner, anywhere, anytime. Try and do this for 5 minutes every day. You can watch me how while inhaling, I'm filling my belly completely. Look at the movement I'm doing here. Observe it for a few times. And focus on your breathing. I'm going to show a few more times. Moving on to the next exercise, toe taps. We'll keep lying on the back, knees flexed. Keep your core engaged but in a neutral spine. Try not to tuck in or let your back arch. Breathe through the movement, keeping in mind those TVA belly breaths which we just did. Start with feet flat and bring one knee up. Then bring it down, and you can do this leg a few times, maybe a set of 10 to start with, and then progress to 3 sets of 20 later. Remember focused breathing. Once we are done this side, we have to move to the other leg. Keep your core engaged and keep breathing through your transverse abdominal. Now, I'm also going to show you a progression where both legs are up in a tabletop and then bring your toes down at the same time. Once you get stronger, maybe in a week time or so, you can progress to this movement. This exercise is very helpful to activate your TVA and strengthen your deep core. It should be one of your favorite exercises to do postpartum because anyone can do it. And even if you've never been pregnant just like me, this exercise is great for anyone. Strengthening our TVA is essential for a strong core all around. You can see the movement I'm doing right here is not correct. This is a wrong movement. Because here the focus is not on the hip flexion, rather we're just moving our knees. And this is incorrect. Now as you can see, this is a right posture and this is the right movement by flexing your hips. Now let's move on to the next exercise called side planks. As you can see, I'm starting with a hip dip. There are many variations of the side plank that can be performed to allow you to really focus on deep core muscles. As you can see here, I'm also showing the hip dip with knees bent. You can either stay in a plank or do the hip dips. Just listen to your body. Now I'm going to show you a progression on a side plank, which is called thread the needle. So come in your side plank position, raise your hips up, raise your arms up and thread the needle as you can see I'm performing here. Make sure your eye gaze follows the hand movement for maximum core engagement. Now let's move on to our fourth exercise called clamps. Lie on your side, arms under head straight, knees bent and feet are sticking together. This is the first version or variation of clamp, simply raising your upper leg and lowering it down. Working your glutes might seem unrelated to healing your abdominals, but it is actually a hugely important part of the process. Working your booty will help create better posture alignment. Make sure that you're repeating this exercise on both sides. Now the second variation is called feet up clamps, where your both feet comes in the air, and we do the same clamps variation. This will be a little bit of progression, so I would recommend do a simple variation of clamps for a week and then move on to this. There's a third variation which is on top of feet up clamps called can-can clamps, where while doing the clamp, you extend your legs and bring back to a clamp. Remember to breathe. We will have the same focused breathing working on our transverse abdominal muscles. Make sure you do it on the other side as well. Beautiful. Let's do a few more reps here. Now let's move on to our last exercise for today's session called bridges. Lie on your back, knees bent, arms by your side. Inhale to prepare. Exhale to peel off your back slowly off the mat, articulating your spine. When you go on the top, inhale here and slowly exhale, coming back to the mat. As you can see here in my movement, when I am exhaling, I'm peeling off my back, first with my pelvic, lower back, then mid back, then upper back, and then my thoracic. Inhale at the top. When you exhale to come back, slowly articulating first upper back, mid back, and then the lower back comes in the last. If you think spinal articulation is difficult for you at this stage, feel free to omit it, and you can directly lift your hips in a bridging position without any articulation. You can do this for about 8 to 10 reps. Remember, all the 5 exercises which we did today, you have to do the same breathing exercise which we learned called transverse abdominal breathing. You don't have to breathe normally. As you can see, every time I'm breathing in, I'm filling my stomach completely. Fill the air in your stomach as you inhale, and when you exhale, focus on your transverse abdominal muscle. Now this is the second variation of bridging called single leg up bridging, wherein one leg comes on tabletop and we try to do the bridging position as we did. Do not move your legs which is in tabletop position. You're only doing this bridging movement with help of one leg. Now let's move on to the other leg. You can do this about 5 to 8 times for each leg. Here I'm showing you a variation where I'm not doing spinal articulation. I'm directly lifting my hips in the air in a bridging position and coming back down without any articulation. So there's no pressure on your back or spines. Directly lifting your hips in a bridge and come back down.
Look at my breathing technique here, how I fill in my stomach completely while inhaling. And when you exhale, use your transverse abdominal muscle.
And that was it for today's session. Don't forget to take care of your body and mind. I'll see you in next workout. Until then, keep moving and stay positive.